And then when you are controlling the plan, the issue is metrics. And I want to talk about what a metric is. I want to make a distinction between what I call diagnostic and outcome measures. I want to talk about some marketing metrics and then close with this concept of a dashboard. This is a definition. This is important. A metric is a quantifiable measure used to track stuff. And it has to be a number. I remember my first year at this university, I was teaching a class on internet marketing, because internet was hot back then. And I thought, as a fun exercise in metrics, I gave the class an assignment is to give me an estimate of the size of the internet. And the idea was that some people would come back with number of users, some people would come back with number of computers on the system, some people would come back with the geographical area served, some people would come back with the bits and bytes, and then we just compare different metrics for measuring the same thing. What I got back was the internet is huge. It's really, really, really big. And almost half of the class used qualitative rather than quantitative measures to describe the internet. In business, it's got to be numbers. We call it making the numbers. So it has to be objective, qualitative. It just sounds like an objective, doesn't it? Has to be objective, meaning not subject to bias or differences of opinion in measurement. Quantifiable needs to be relevant, which means it relates to what you're doing. This was a problem in the early days of internet where everybody was measuring hits, and what they wanted to know was how much product they were selling. Hits were easy to measure. Product selling was hard to measure, so I would measure hits, even though that wasn't what I was trying to accomplish. And timely. And then when you get a number, there are two things that you need to know about any number. The first is it good or bad? And that has to be relative to something. So in the case of a planning process, is it good or bad relative to the plan? And then the second is the trend. Is it getting better or worse? So for example, if you go home to your parents and say, guess what? I'm going to get a C in marketing. Is that good or bad? Yeah, it depends. If I have an A average going in, that would be bad. If I'm on academic probation and I finally passed a class, that would be good. So the same number has a different evaluation depending on the context, depending on what it's measured against. And then the trend, is it getting better or worse? You know, I got a C and it's going up, as opposed to I got A's and now I'm getting C's.